Alright, so I see a lot of people asking questions on how to take these lights they get on Amazon and eBay and whatnot, and how to use them in their ice houses. And last year I had made quite a few and sold quite a few to people and had really good luck with it. So I figured I'd do a quick tutorial on how to make your own. And what I'm talking about here is these little LED light strips that you hook up to your power box, your Vexlar, Markham, or spare battery you have, and use them in your ice house to supply light at night. And they're super easy and super cheap to make, and if you do it right, it will last a long time. I actually used this over 4th of July weekend, camping in the tent, use it camping other times on the river. They come in really handy for a lot more than just ice fishing. And you can make them a lot of different lengths. So I'm going to start off by showing a couple different types of LEDs. I like to use the 50/50 SMD LED light strips. The specific brand I like to use are the Super Night. Super Night Bright White or Cool White, whichever one you would like. I've done them in both. They work really, really well. I've bought in several different types and compared them, and these ones hold up really good. The silicone doesn't break on them. They hold up really well. And a lot of people talk about the other ones, the other cheap $6, $7, $8, $9 a roll ones, depending on what site you buy them from. These are the 3528 LEDs, which are a lot smaller, a lot more flimsy. They're still waterproof, but they just don't work as well as the 50/50. You can also see a size comparison between the 50/50 SMD and the 3528s. Big size difference. So, a few things you're going to need to make an LED light strip. You can make it however long you want. I prefer the 3-footers because they put out plenty of light. You don't need much more than that. You're going to need some wire. I like to use speaker wire. This is 18 gauge speaker wire. LEDs do not draw that much power, so you don't need to have a huge gauge wire. They come with 20 gauge on them, so on the stock ends. The reason I like this is because it's stuck together already. You don't have two separate wires flying all over the place. It's easier to secure and keep neat and tidy. It also remains flexible even under extreme temperatures. And you're going to need your LED light pack. When you open it up, after you get it, they come with stock ends, little wire leads on them. The first thing you should do with those when you get it is cut it off because it's garbage. They don't work. They don't last. They're not very strong. I'm going to show how to make what I feel and have found to be one of the strongest and best joints there is to connect those two together. You're going to need heat shrink tubing. I use 3 different sizes. You use 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and 3/8 of an inch. And you're going to see why here in a little bit. You need a little bit of liquid electrical tape. And I like to finish it off with these little Velcro strips. You can buy these at Menards. You're going to need some alligator clips if this is how you choose to put your lights on, or clip them to your battery, your power box, whatever source of power you're using. You need a solder gun, solder obviously, some wire strippers, and the lighter. And I'm going to apologize right now, this video is going to be kind of long because I don't have any editing software and I'm using my cell phone. So this is going to be a little lengthy video, but I'll be worth it. So you're going to start off, I got the 50/50 SMD. You're going to measure out a 3-foot length. And I have spots on my bench that are pre-marked. So after you measure out 3 feet, there's these little copper leads on the end. You're going to want to cut that directly in half. You can do it a couple different ways. You can use a scissors, wire cutter, your wire stripper, plain utility knife blade. I am just going to cut it in half with the wire cutter. Put this away. Next thing you need to do is clean off that excess silicone. Just use a regular utility knife blade. Make a little slit. Scrape it off. Once you get the excess off, you got a nice clean surface to apply solder to. Now to kind of help hold things in place while I'm soldering and doing other things, I like to use little spring clamps. I'm going to start off by priming those little copper leads with some solder. It makes it easier to attach the wires if you put a little bit of solder on here first. Now, I'm no professional at this, I just do it as a hobby, so I'm sure I'm doing some things wrong. Feel free to criticize all you want, hard to hurt my feelings. Soldering gun's a little dirty. All right, so I got just a little bit of solder on each one of those. Now you're going to measure out some wire. I like 10 foot just because it's pretty versatile. You can use it in many different spots or many different applications. So, measure out. feet. Wire cutter and cut it. Then you gotta separate the wires. Use a utility knife. Cut right in the middle. And you pull it back just a little bit. You don't want it to be sticking out too much. And you have a wire with a white line on it and a wire that's just clear. I like to use the wire with the white line as your positive. And on your strip, you have a positive and a negative mark right next to the leads. So you just use that accordingly. And I'm going to prime the wires. I love these little alligator clip helping hand jaws things. Work really well for soldering wires and holding all kinds of stuff. Solder right on the ends. Now that you got that done, I'm going to take a piece of my 1/8 inch heat shrink. I'm going to slip one onto each wire. Get them as far back as you can because you don't want to have the soldering process start to shrink it. So we got the positive is on this side. We're going to take the white wire, solder that bad boy right on there. Hold it steady. Then we're going to solder on the negative. One of the biggest issues with soldering these is sometimes you get that solder too close, or if you don't protect this enough when you go to hook it up, and you go to hook it up, they'll be pinched together and they'll short out. That's why you take these two, you slide them up, and then you shrink it down. And what that's going to do is that's going to not only build up the level, the thickness of the wire, it's going to help to hold them, separate them a little bit. Then you're going to take a piece of the 1/4 inch, slide that on the wire, and about a 1 inch or so section of 3/8, slide that on also. Slide the 1/4 over to help build it up. This is also going to help with waterproofing, keeping that nice and clean and dry. Shrink that down. And you're going to take some liquid electrical tape, and dab that over your soldered connections. Just like that. And you're going to take this piece, slide it over the whole thing, covering up that first LED. And you're going to shrink that down. You're going to have a little bit of that liquid electrical tape seep out. That's good. Once that dries up, that is going to be one of the better joints that you can do. Way better than them clip-on ones, way better than the stock ones. They're really tough, they hold up really well. I haven't had any issues at all with those. Now with some brands of these LED lights, sometimes they have a little piece of copper, or the little copper leads go all the way to the bottom. So if you clip them onto a pole, they may or may not short out. On every one that I make, take a little dab, liquid electrical tape on the end, just to help seal this off, make sure no moisture gets in where we've broken that silicone bond. Put a little piece of 3/8 heat shrink on it, and shrink down the end. And that is going to seal that end really nice. So now we have the wires soldered on. We're going to go down to the other end where you're going to make your connection for your battery, or where you want to connect to your battery. Take a short piece of 1/8 inch, put it down 10 inches to a foot or so, and heat shrink that on. What that's going to do is keep your wires from separating all the way up, because we got to split this end. So we're going to split that end, pull that apart, and that stop, or that heat shrink is going to stop that from splitting all the way up. Then we're going to strip these wires. Twist them together. Now this one is the clear all the way around, so that's going to be the negative post, according to how we wired it or soldered it to that, to the LED strip. You take your alligator clip or whatever you choose to put on there, put the black sheath over it, get another piece of 1/8 inch heat shrink, chop it into thirds. These are the ones I got at Menards. Slide that over. We're going to do the same thing with the negative, or the positive, I mean. This one's got the white wire, white line on the wire. Slide that over. Slide the heat shrink. And you're going to attach your alligator clips. I feed it through the hole. And bend over the little post. Now you can solder these on if you want to, just for the sake of saving time. I'm not going to solder it on. Bend that over, and it's on there pretty good. Extra added security. Slip up the heat shrink. Shrink that on. And bring your appropriate colored sheath over the top. Same thing quickly for the negative. Feed it through the hole. Bend it down. Slide the heat shrink. Shrink her down. Slide it up. Now we're ready to test, see if it works. I'll hook this other one. Positive, negative, moment of truth, and it works. Almost every time. Pretty much every time. So that is how you assemble, solder on, add wires, cut your LED strips. For the sake of neatness, easy transportation, and also a way to attach them to your shack, your tent, or whatever you wish to attach them to. Just wrap it up. Do a nice neat roll. Grab the Velcro. Velcro it up. Use one Velcro strip, 2, 3, 18, doesn't matter. The more you have, the more you have to use to hold it up to stuff. And that is how easy it is to make an LED light strip for your shack, your tent, whatever. Save yourself a few bucks. Total investment into this after buying everything in bulk is right around $4. So, and it's just as good, if not better, than what you can buy in stores. So save yourself a few bucks. If you're a little handy, you got all the electrical working stuff to do it yourself, do it yourself. If you just have LED lights you want to install in your boat, your car, truck, whatever, that is how you attach the wires a good, clean, weatherproof, strong way to your LED lights. Thanks for watching, guys. Apologize for the crappy cell phone video. Have a good night.